Many people seem to think that you have to feel positive all the time in order to manifest. And honestly, that belief alone is already exhausting. Let me tell you something. A little more than a year ago, I was going through a crisis. And yes, even people who manifest still have a crisis come up once in a while, because there may be still some hidden assumptions in the subconscious mind that eventually will pop up to make themselves visible in order to get cleared. And about, a little over a year ago, man, I was going through a month where like one crisis followed the next. It was like putting out fires everywhere, and before one was out, the next one was already flaring up. And it actually got so far that it came, you could say, kind of like an existential crisis. It was like a really big situation. I don't want to name the details here because, first of all, it's done, and no, I don't want to speak it into existence anymore. Just know it was really existential, and I've had the first panic attack in years. So it is very easy to say that after I was putting out fires for a while, this big thing came. And yes, I spiraled in that moment. I panicked, I cried, and I was really, really, really upset. But then what did I do? Well, what I always do, I let myself be in that moment. I let myself feel it. We don't want to endorse toxic positivity in this channel. No, you are not always going to be in a good mood. That is not what life is about. I always advise push through, and by that I don't mean oppress. So what I did, I sat down on my couch and I cried my eyes out. I let myself feel the pain, I let myself feel the panic for a moment until it eventually subsides. And here's a fun fact. I once read that it takes your brain about 90 seconds to overcome a crisis. After about 90 seconds, your body starts to relax and those stress hormones are already stopping unless you keep on thinking about the same thing over and over and over again. Then you're kind of starting the 90-second circle over and over. I have to admit, of course, I needed a couple of those rounds with my 90 seconds, but it took me, I don't know, several minutes, maybe half an hour. I have no idea, but eventually I snapped out of it, and then I got into the mindset of, okay, what do I do now? Let's fix it. So what I do then typically when I have this crisis is first I feel it, and then I soothe myself. And often I meditate, I put on relaxing music, I take deep breath, I do anything to calm me down in that moment. But again, still not oppressing. And after that, I sat my butt down and I did a revision. And then I read my text and then I scripted the outcome I would rather want to experience. But that is not it. After that, I reached out to someone and asked for help, because manifesting does not mean that every problem you have just magically disappears. Sometimes you have to take action. Even Neville Goddard was talking about inspired action. So that is what I did. I reached out for help and the problem was solved within a couple of days. Well, the big one. And I can tell you, even though, yes, I did the self-soothing, I cried my eyes out. Was I in a good state? Absolutely not. Did I still manifest a happy outcome? Yes, I did. The problem was solved and no longer existent. But how come when so many people, and especially the law of attraction people, are constantly telling you high vibes only? You have to be in a high vibe to manifest. Well, it does help. Yes. Why does it help? Because when you're in a good mood, first of all, you are not thinking negatively, which means you're not endorsing the old thoughts, which means you're not keeping on strengthening the old synapses in your brain. But you don't always have to be high vibe. And no, this is not like a golden ticket. It's not a free pass to go on a pity party all the time. Of course, we want to learn to watch our thoughts, but not in the moment you're spiraling. So you don't have to worry that you have to be positive 24/7. That is not what life is about. Even though you are a conscious manifester, it does not mean that sometimes you're not facing some problems. It doesn't mean that shit never hits the fan. Sometimes it does. And then as a conscious manifester, you deal with it. So let's go back to the question, why did I manifest the happy outcome? Well, it's your state that manifests. It's what you imprint in your subconscious mind in that moment. What is dominant? So when I did the revision and I scripted the outcome I wanted, I was really focused on that. I was in like a trance-like state and I repeated what I wanted. And you don't have to script. I like scripting often, especially in crisis, because it helps me personally to focus. With that, I imprinted my subconscious mind with what I wanted to manifest, the happy outcome. So it's not your emotions so much that manifest. Again, they do help, but what manifests is the state, and that you can shift. I have another example for you. I already did a video on that. You may not have seen it, but it's another story where I was in deep crisis. My cat, my little old senior, he is turning 18 this year, so he's a little old man, but he has this autoimmune disease, which I did not know at that point, where he grows tumors on his tongue. So when I took him to the vet to check out his tongue for the first time, I was told that does not look good. Tumors in a cat's mouth are almost always cancer, and especially on the tongue, typically a very aggressive type of cancer. So we did the surgery, and the vet also checked it out under the microscope and told me, well, it does not look good at all, but we are going to have to send it in. I was scared for the life of my beloved pet, who by that time, I think, how old was he? I think he may have been 14 back then. And I've had him since he was a little baby. So I was absolutely gutted and terrified. I cried my eyes out. But I sat down and came up with the short scene where I imagined the vet calling me, because I am better with audio imagination. I'm not so good with visualization. So I just sat down on my couch. I pretended in my imagination also to just sit on the couch. I heard the phone ring. I answered the phone. It was the vet telling me that the tumor was benign. And I repeated that scene until I cried out of relief. And what happened? Well, a couple of days later, we got the results, and it turned out the tumor was benign. And the vet was so astonished because she was already, I don't know, I would say in her 50s. And she's been working as a vet for a long time, and it was actually like a clinic, like they do surgery on a daily basis. And she told me they operate tumors out of pets like almost on a daily basis. And in all of her years in her career, she had never even heard of a cat whose tumor on the tongue is not cancer. It was unheard of for her. And she told me she even contacted other vets to talk about this case. But as I said before, I was absolutely gutted in that moment. I was crying when I was meditating. First out of pain until I repeated the scene and it turned into relief, and I still then cried because of relief. Was I still worried? Of course. Did I sometimes think about it during the day? Of course. Did I then stop the thought and went back into the short scene or just affirmed he is healthy? Yes, I did. But was I happy in that time? High vibe? Absolutely not. By the way, I was talking about revision now. I do have a playlist with revision where I explain what it is, how it works, but I also have an ebook. It's called Revision Scripts. You will find the link in the description box below, where I teach you everything you need to know about revision, and also for different scenarios I give you templates that you can then change to your specific situation. If you're interested in that, you can find the link in the description box. But let's get back to the video. I said before, it is your state that manifests. So even if you're not that happy, I would advise to not always push negative thoughts away. I would advise to mark them down. They will show you what limiting belief it is, or when you are in a crisis, like I was like a little over a year ago. It shows you a hidden program, and then you can change it. But you know, the certainty when you manifest anything, it grows from the repetition of the new state and not from forcing emotions. And let's be honest, let's say you're missing your person or something happened. You have this bill to pay and you have no idea how to do it. You're not relaxed in that moment. No one is. It's okay not to be relaxed in that moment. Feel the pain. Don't bypass it. Feel it. Take note of what it is. cry it out, relax as good as you can, and then get to work. And the easy feeling, the high vibes, they're actually a byproduct. They're not there in the beginning. When you want to manifest something out of pain, then I would usually advise to first work on your self-concept, especially if it is a red thread, if it's not like this isolated situation, like for example with my cat. I've never had an unhealthy pet before, so that was something that was new for me. So that did not require any self-concept work. But if it's, for example, the red thread, like the money not being there, you being rejected, for example, then first work on self-concept and then manifest your person. And do it with ease, do it with fun. Try to come up with scenarios that feel good to you. Practice the state of already having it. In the beginning, it won't feel that good all the time. The goal is to try to feel good or relieved. And by good, I mean relaxed. Neutral is fine in the beginning. You're not going to be euphoric when you're in crisis. But the best thing is to really dive into the pain, to get it out of your system, and that will help. And if you have to do that every day for a couple of weeks, you do it every day for a couple of weeks. Don't oppress. And then you practice the state of having it, no matter if you're scripting, if you're visualizing, having the inner conversations, daydreaming. It does not matter. We just want to get you into a good mood in the moment of practicing it, in the moment of thinking about your desire as if you already have it. What happens is your brain is going to rewire, new synapses are building, and then the ease will come automatically. I just said it before, it is actually a byproduct of your manifestation. It's not a requirement when you're just starting. That is not possible. By the way, if you feel your manifestation is blocked, you can find a link in the description box. I have this free ebook with the 3 most common blocks and how to resolve them. And also, if you're interested in all the 18 blocks I found, you can get my Manifesting 101 book. In it, I explain all of the 18 most common blocks and how to resolve them. It is my goal to clean up with the fake BS out there, like you have to be high vibe all the time. No, I have manifested good stuff, overcoming crisis in some of my lowest points in my life. Just keep on practicing, getting into the state and holding it. And when you fall out, that's natural. I always say it's like driving somewhere. It's fine to take the wrong road, to turn left when you're supposed to go straight ahead. That is normal. It does not mean you cannot get to your destination. It just means we want to get back onto the right road. So yes, try to learn to stop the negative thoughts, but not in the moment you're spiraling. Let it happen. Your body will resolve it. Your body will get sick of the negative thoughts. And then when you're back to neutral, then you get to work. You don't need to feel perfect. You just need to persist in the state. That's it.